It's not a story. Sometimes it was very, very sad.
Yeah, she had some, there were some very extreme things, wasn't there, Mom?
Extreme, extreme.
Yeah.
Especially the ambulance deals.
Yeah.
That is, I wouldn't wish it on anyone.
Yeah.
I don't wish that job on anybody.
What was your involvement with the ambulance, Berna?
Pardon?
What was your involvement with the ambulance? How did you get involved?
There was nobody else to do it. I'll tell you why I got on the ambulance. We were living in Alberta, and I had a wood cook stove. So I always had a kettle of hot water on the cook stove. And whenever anybody got hurt at the mill, they come running to my place because I had warm water to wash whatever it was, and I was kind of good at finding a bandage to put on. So I said, I'm doing all this. I'm going to go to first aid school. So the first time there was a chance to go to first aid, I went.
So who were you helping?
My husband, Frank.
With the ambulance?
Yeah. And we were the only ones for quite a few years, about 4 years. And then Mr. and Mrs. Siddles got in, helped us, and Irene Blackman helped us. We could call on them to help. But usually when we called on them, we had more than one person hurt. Maybe there'd be 3, 4 people hurt. You never knew. You never knew when you went to a car accident what you'd find. There was lots of car accidents then.
Because of the roads?
Because of the roads. They put the highway through, and they didn't put the bridges in. They didn't put the bridges in for a year, and people would think they were on a clear highway, and they'd get going really good because it was a beautiful highway. And then they'd come to a dead end because it was no bridge in, and they'd have to take a detour, and they'd miss it completely. Yeah, they'd miss it completely.
And what did you have for an ambulance, for the van? Or?
To start with, we had a real nice one. We had a Volkswagen bus. One of them kind that's air-cooled, and it goes chug, 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 30 miles an hour is top speed. Well, that was our first ambulance. And then the village had got incorporated, so then they got a better one, a Ford, and it was a bit better. But the Volkswagen didn't have no lining in it. It was just the tin box. And if it was cold, the patient almost froze to death before he got to the other end.
And how did you hear about the accident? Did you have radios, or how?
Well, the police radios, you see. The police would call us.
Okay.
Yeah. We always had police here. Yeah, there was always police here.
So the police called you, and then you would go on the scene of the accident?
Yeah. And it was, most of our times when we were called out, it took us 6 minutes to be wherever it was. If it was in town here, 6 minutes. Be in bed, sound asleep, you'd be up, you'd be dressed, you'd get the ambulance, and be 6 minutes you could be at the house.
What were some of the things you had to do when you were on ambulance?
Well, heart attacks was real good. You had to feed them oxygen, and keep them calm. I don't know how many of them I didn't take in. And I never lost one. Never lost a heart attack. Wow. That was, I'd usually get them to the hospital. And 9 times out of 10 they come home. Yeah.
What about babies?
We had one on New Year's morning on the stoplight at Jasper. You know, where you come from this way, there's a stoplight there. We stopped at a stoplight and we had a new baby. And the doctor, when we got to the hospital, he said, "Where was it born?" And we said, "Right at the stoplight." And he said, "Oh." He said, "I guess it was born in Alberta then." Again. Yeah.
And you weren't paid to do this job?
No, no. It was volunteer as far as I was concerned. I wasn't worth anything. I didn't have no value.
Why do you say that?
Well, nobody ever paid me, so I didn't have no value.
But you did a lot of things, though.
Well, yeah, I did lots of things, but I didn't have no value, so I wasn't paid. Yeah.
And how many years do you think you did that?
Well, you know, I think about till, I don't know whether it would be 75 or, it must have been 5 or 6 years, maybe more. I can't remember how many years. Yeah. Quite a few years anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what brought you to the area? Like, why did you come here?
Why did we come here?
Mm-hmm.
For work. Work. We come in with a sawmill. It was a small river. And then we didn't agree with them and we moved to Valemount in '53. And in them days here, there was all kinds of small mills and all kinds of work for men. The small mills would have like 10, 15 men, and there was lots of them. I think there was 6 or 7 of them small mills here working in the valley. So you could get lots of work. Yeah.
And what was the town like at that time?
There was no town. There was a station. The museum was against the track. There was a station. Straight across the track from that was the old hotel. And it had, I think, 4 rooms upstairs, didn't it?
Or 6, maybe 6.
Maybe 6 rooms. And it was just a big house, like. And it had a room where you came in and a kitchen. And that's what we rented when we came to live in, was the hotel. And then there was 3 little log shacks around there. Johnny Osachuk's lived in one. Ralph Levins's lived in one. We lived in one. Roddy McCallum lived in one. And the Fresco boys and Kachucks and Bill Smith lived in one.
Exactly.
And that was pretty well our town. And then over where the IGA is now, there was a house on the corner there that Mr. and Mrs. Partridge lived in, and straight across, cornerways across, was Mr. Atkins. And he owned a mill, so he had been there for quite some time. But that was just about Valemount.
Dad was a bartender?
Yeah.
Where? Where was he a
At
bartender?
the hotel.
Okay.
He worked Wednesdays and Friday and Saturday in the evening, the late shift. Yeah.
Was that a place to meet a lot of people?
Oh yeah, lots of people. You see, it was, the bar down here was the only meeting place there was, like, you know what I mean, like it, there was nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody come to town, that's where they went, you know. They went there to ask where people lived, and you could find out anything there.
You had to look for work?
And if there was any work available, you could find it out there, and you could cash your check there, you could, oh yeah, it was Central Valemount, yeah.
How do you cash your check there?
Pardon?
How do you cash your check at the hotel?
Well, Mr. and Mrs. Kushner could cash their checks.
Okay.
They would cash their checks for all the workers. They kept enough cash there to cover all the mills. They were just like a bank when we first came here.